All right, welcome everyone. My name is Casey. I am a physical therapist and running coach, and today we're going to cover how you can run your fastest 5K this Thanksgiving through running smarter and not harder. We're going to go over 3 key tips, and guys, we're going to have a good time. We're going to try to have a good time while doing so. This isn't school. We're not in a lecture. I know I really hit you with the PowerPoint presentation today, but I'm going to try to not keep it boring. So look at this lady. She's happy because she just ran her fastest 5K ever. So we'll figure out how we can do the same. So whether you describe yourself as totally new to running, like I haven't ran once in the past 10 years, but would like to start, or if you describe yourself as a beginner, intermediate, or heck, even an advanced runner, we're going to go over 3 key tactics of running smarter that you can use to run your personal best 5K this Thanksgiving. And then obviously follow that up with copious amounts of turkey, obviously. And the approach to doing this will probably be a little different than what you're used to. But let me just tell you that this approach works. It doesn't just focus on one aspect of training of running, but rather considers multiple. So it considers the physiology behind how our bodies best adapt to running, the kinesiology of how we best move while running, the anatomy of how our muscles and tissues respond and adapt to the stresses of running, as well as the psychology of strategies to take into account to help us be the most consistent in our training as possible while simultaneously enjoying the process. So I personally learned a big portion of this approach from world-class running coaches Brad Hudson and Matt Fitzgerald, and in how they took their already elite runners in the 5K. I'm talking crazy sub 15-minute times to even better runners in the 5K to like sub 14-minute times. And then obviously I tailored it more towards the beginner to intermediate runner. So through both attending physical therapy school and getting my running coach certification, I noticed some pretty big gaps that PTs could learn from running coaches in treating and training runners, as well as some gaps that running coaches could learn from PTs in training runners. And so I aim to fill these gaps through this approach. And the general overview of this approach is called the R4U Method. So this could be talked about for hours, and I'm not going to bore you with that, but I do want to highlight it briefly as the 3 big tips that we're going to cover in this video can all be found in and come back to this method, and specifically these 3 components of it. So with this background in place, let's move to tip number 1 on how you can PR in this year's Turkey Trot 5K, and that tip is to train all 3 components of running fitness. So generally speaking, your running fitness can be described as made up of 3 different subcategories. You have your general aerobic fitness, and this deals with how well your body is able to consume and utilize oxygen while running, and is for the vast majority agreed to be the most important determinant of your overall running fitness. It's also known as aerobic capacity, and is primarily where runs like your long runs, general easy runs, recovery runs come into play and make the biggest impact. And additionally, just where overall your total volume of mileage comes into play here as well. Next, you have your speed fitness. And this, as you probably can guess, deals with your speed and how fast and efficiently that you can move from point A to point B. So things like hill sprints, speed intervals, strides, all play a big role here. And finally, we have specific endurance. So specific endurance can be viewed as what happens when you combine general aerobic fitness and speed fitness in a way that's specific to the race or distance it is you're training for. So in this case, obviously a 5K. Put another way, it's your body's ability to combine general aerobic fitness and speed fitness so that you can run faster for longer distances. There's definitely some overlap with the types of runs that are included here, but tempo runs and longer speed intervals serve a little bigger of a role here for the 5K distance that we're talking about. So going a little further, say you have great general aerobic fitness, but just terrible speed fitness. Hypothetically, you'll be able to run for a long time, but at a slow speed. But on the other hand, if you have terrible general aerobic fitness, but really good speed fitness, hypothetically, you'll be able to run super fast, but only for a short period of time. And then you need specific endurance to tie the two together in a way that's specific to the 5K distance. So we need to include these types of runs to train all 3 of these quote-unquote subcategories of running fitness to optimally prepare for a 5K. So with these three main components of running fitness in mind, the best training plans are designed in a way in which general aerobic fitness and speed gradually converge more and more into specific endurance as the program goes on and the 5K gets closer. So that by the time of your race, you're in peak physical shape for that specific distance. And we might not be Eliud Kipchoge, but hey, you never know. You never know. Moving on here to tip number 2, we have recover, recover, recover. Many presentations on tips for running your fastest 5K will not include anything on recovery, but guess what? This one does. And I'm also listing it as number 2 because if one were to list it, they would probably list it as number 3 as like, hey, just keep this in mind, something to do. You'll probably want to recover. But like, we need to prioritize this. We need to be proactive about recovery and not reactive once an injury comes or something happens. Here's something for you to consider. Y'all are runners, so I know y'all are foodies. Okay, I know that. And despite those rubbery pieces of nastiness on there, this looks like it's shaping up to be a nice pizza, right? It's got all the ingredients, the flattened dough, the sauce, toppings, cheese. All it needs to do is get tossed in the oven for a bit and boom, that thing's ready to be eaten. But what if they didn't put it in the oven? What if it stayed like that the way it is? If they just let it sit out, unfortunately, it would never make the adaptations that it needs to make to become the best version of its piece of self, the version that we all want, the version that we all love dearly. And maybe you're starting to see where I'm going with this, but if we as runners don't take recovery seriously, we'll be like uncooked pizzas. We can give our bodies all the ingredients it needs in our training that we just discussed in tip number 1. But if we don't place a high priority on recovery, on sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, implementing rest days, implementing recovery weeks in your training, guys, we'll be like uncooked pizzas. It just won't matter. One of my favorite quotes is from Tom Goom. It says, if you want to train like an elite athlete, you need to recover like an elite athlete. And for a little more practical tips on how recovery should look for running specifically, aim to have a recovery week every 3 to 4 weeks. And this recovery week should include a 30 to 50% reduction in total weekly running volume, as well as a similar reduction in the distance of your long run. And so really just to give your body time to adapt to the stresses of running and recover optimally. And additionally, obviously, again, have to prioritize sleep. It's the best thing you can do for yourself, and injury rates have shown to go down as quality of sleep goes up. So got to get your sleep. All right, so moving on to the third tip here. If I were to tell you that there's a tool out there that enhances running economy, aids in preventing injuries, enhances maximal speed, reduces muscular fatigue, and it doesn't involve 1 second of running, would you use it? Because there's a tool that does all these things. And that leads us to our third tip, which is get strong to run strong. And you probably guessed it by now, but I am talking about strength training here. And if you think about it, it's pretty crazy that there's a means of exercise out there that you can improve all of these things with that doesn't involve 1 second of running. And as runners, a lot of us aren't doing it. So strength training is seriously like the new secret weapon for runners. And I think a big reason why people aren't doing it is because we have a lot of misconceptions about strength training. So a lot of runners are like, well, I don't want to have to go to the gym 5 days a week and turn into a meathead. Like, this can be done effectively in your own home. There are strengthening exercises that for runners, specific muscles that you can do in the comfort of your own home that make a huge difference. If you simply take a bit of time out of your day to add 2 to 4 exercises twice a week into your routine, you can just watch your running times go down. It's honestly amazing the effects that adding a simple strength training routine to your regimen can have. So then when we combine these 3 things together, rather than just focusing on one, so we're addressing each component of running fitness in a specific way to the 5K distance, and we add on top of that recovering like a true elite athlete, and adding on top of that runner-specific strengthening exercises, that's when you'll run your fastest 5K. And more than that, just start to feel amazing, see amazing results, and just feeling stronger and faster in general as a runner. So I hope this video is helpful in just clarifying what helps for the 5K specifically. Lastly, I do have an opportunity that I would love for you to join me in. In just a few short days, we'll be 12 weeks out from the annual Turkey Trot Thanksgiving 5K. So September 2 is exactly 12 weeks out from the Thanksgiving 5K. So I personally will be starting a program that implements all these methods then, and I would love for you to join me and other beginner to intermediate runners in doing so. And you can do that through joining the 2021 Turkey Trot 5K group training program. So this is a group program, and it offers 3 levels of 5K plans so that you can find one that works for you. Plus, I'll run your first 5K plan, which is a walk to run program. If you're completely new to running, it'll take you to running your very first 5K. And it'll also have 2 weekly runner-specific strength training workouts. And so these workouts, along with the plans, utilize the methods and everything that we discussed in this video and more that'll take you to running an amazing 5K this Thanksgiving. And added on top of that, we're going to have a dynamic warm-up routine in both a video and PDF format. You'll have motivation, accountability, and support from others in the group. I will certainly be around for professional coaching from myself. And then there's more that you'll see once you're inside. I'm super excited about this. It's going to be a ton of fun to pursue our 5K goals together and to see everyone's results start to pour in at the end. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be such a fun group. And so if you're a beginner to intermediate runner, and maybe you're struggling to see improvements in your running fitness, maybe you're discouraged by running injuries, always getting in the way, or maybe you're just looking for motivation and accountability to pursue your running goals, or potentially all the above. This is a great opportunity for you to learn what it looks like to run smarter, to not only reduce the likelihood for injuries, but simultaneously get into amazing shape with a group of runners like yourself. The strongest, fastest, and ultimately happiest runners include a high-level focus on running smarter. And that's a big aim of this group training program, is to guide you in the correct ways to do this, so that not only can you run a great 5K this Thanksgiving, that's going to be awesome, but at the same time, just set you up for success going forward after the 12 weeks is over. The doors for this close at September 1, 2021 at just before midnight, and I am capping the number of spots that are open, as I want to keep it a fairly intimate setting so that I'll be able to answer questions and just be available as a coach. So if you're interested, make sure to register and reserve a spot soon. And you can do that by visiting the link in my description. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're not, you're probably already on the page where you can do so. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye, guys.